Welcome to the Coached Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Keren. Settle in. We're about to make you feel really good. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Coached, the podcast with me, Coach Keren. This season is called Coaching Masters, and it's all about integrity and excellence in teaching. We're going to be exploring mastery, what we teach, how we teach, and most importantly, why we teach. Today, I'm honored to welcome my friend, Alexis Artin, an embodiment master, transformational coach, speaker, and guide for those who are ready to come home to their deepest selves. Alexis is a woman who teaches from the inside out, literally. Her work weaves somatics, storytelling, and soul reclamation into a body of work that helps people alchemize pain into presence and presence into power. She has lived it all: lost, cancer, cults, and experienced a true rebirth. And she has become her teaching, much of which she generously shares on her successful podcast, Look at Me Now. I was honored to be a guest of hers earlier this year, and I'm going to link the episode below so that you can perhaps experience a second dimension of this conversation. I invite you now to tune in here first for Alexis's profundity. As Rumi wrote, there is a voice that doesn't use words. Listen. That's embodiment, and that's Alexis. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me. What a truly beautiful introduction. I don't know that I've ever explained myself so eloquently, so you're hired.
Thank you very much. Yeah. I would love to work with you.
Yes.
On your podcast, Alexis, and on your channels and throughout your work, I've heard you describe your life as a personal odyssey, marked by adversity, resilience, and ultimately transformation. This is the case of so many of us who come by our work basically honestly, right? Through the gutter and into the light. Can you take us back to the beginning and talk about how you came to the teachings and then to teaching?
I mean, I feel like there is a divine order in perceived chaos, and we do come by the work honestly, and it's out of necessity, right? It's out of desperation sometimes that we find our way to this work. And it's been an ongoing progression, and I don't think I'll ever be done until I'm dead.
Yeah.
And anybody who says that they are Buddha sitting on a mountaintop in mudra pose with all the answers all the time, be careful of those people. But for me, it's very sequential. It happened, win after win and loss after loss, that the necessity got stronger and stronger and stronger to find the work, to come to the work, that the work came calling.
You had an unusual childhood, though.
Yes.
You have two superstar parents, a
Yes.
doctor, and your mom was a psychologist and then became a badass business superstar.
No doubt. Yes, that's them.
And you also grew up in a part of the world that isn't known for super easy, non-competitive, enlightened living.
East Coast. Yeah.
Shout out to all our Hamptons friends. So there are a lot of things that really kind of catapulted you maybe faster into the work.
Absolutely. It started when I was about 6 years old. My aunt and uncle died in a plane crash. And the world before the phone rang and the world after the phone rang were entirely different. And at 6 years old, that's not something that you can very easily comprehend.
Yeah.
My body understood it. My brain didn't understand it. And to add insult to injury in that moment, in that revelation of this plane has crashed and the world is no longer going to be the same because your aunt and uncle are gone, and they left behind their 5-year-old daughter, who was like a sister to me, my cousin. And in that moment, it was my mom's sister. So in essence, I had just lost my mom, or at least the version of my mom that I knew up until that point. And again, my body understood it, my brain didn't. And but the way that played out was I had this full tantrum, this emotionally dramatic moment of moving that energy through my body. And my father turned to me, God bless him, doing his best with what he was dealing with in the moment. But he turned to me and said, knock it off. Stop being so dramatic. You're not helping anybody. You're making it worse. And in that moment, I learned that my essence, because I was a dramatic person, that is a core DNA of mine. I'm a drama enthusiast. That wasn't okay. That wasn't acceptable. And in fact, it's dangerous and it's unwanted and it's a threat. My own existence became a threat. And to be emotional was unwelcome. To be authentic was unwelcomed. And navigating all of that in one foul swoop of how quickly life can turn on a dime, and how easily in those moments I can be, so deeply discarded by the people who are supposed to love me most, was a major turning point.
Yeah. And as a child, and you've been very open also about early mental health struggles. So this basically leads into that, right?
100%. I was diagnosed with depression and with magical thinking and all of these things as a child. But it's not a surprise considering what I was faced with really early on. I had to find coping mechanisms.
Well, let's talk about what these then turn into.
Sure, yeah.
Because you've had interesting outcomes in adulthood too. Mm-hmm. You and I have the shared privilege of being part of the worst club ever, abusive relationships.
Yes.
And cancer.
Yes.
And, well, you even had an experience of being associated with a cult.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about the depth and then how you came out of this?
Yeah, I mean, and these are isolated incidents. I mean, I'm sure that they, karmically or cosmically weave into each other.
Yeah, sure.
But I do actually really believe that they all have a similar theme, which is a disempowerment theme.
Yeah.
Right? So with the abusive relationship, which was the first of the three that you just mentioned, it was about love. It was about devotion and commitment. It was about power dynamics, right? And that's what happened in the cult too, is you see something that really speaks to a high value that you have, right? To being in relationship with something that you feel fulfills you. Yeah. And you want that so badly that you will give of yourself to an unhealthy extreme just to reciprocate a little bit of what you think is going to be fulfillment and satisfaction. And the abusive relationship was, I was very young and I was very vulnerable and very naive. And it was honestly my first real relationship. So I didn't really have any context, which made it even harder to extricate myself from. By the time I was older and I had gotten into the cult, I was watching another documentary about the NXIVM cult. And the producer director, who was also a cult participant, who was making this documentary, had said, nobody ever joins a cult thinking they're joining a cult. No. The people who join cults join because they are so moved and they are so motivated and inspired by the mission at hand. And that is what happened to me. I fell in love with the idea of what this company, this community was going to do for the world. Just like I fell in love with the abusive guy. I fell deeply, madly in love. And I was so hopeful about what would be gained and what would be experienced in these relationships. But, as much as in the beginning, it's all on point, in the end, there's a bait and switch that happens. And you realize, oh, this is actually not what I signed up for. Yeah. And by that point, I don't want to say it's too late because eventually I got out of both, but, it took a lot for me to get out of both. A lot.
Of course. And you know, it's funny. It's all self-sabotage works the same way. It's a bait and switch. In the beginning, nobody actually self-sabotages because they think, yay, death. They literally think, this is going to make me feel good and I'm very moved by this. And then ultimately it starts to eat at you.
Well, that's the disempowerment theme that I'm
Exactly.
talking about, right? And then that brings me to the third thing that you mentioned, which was the cancer. And it's funny because this cult I was working in the world of female empowerment, and I was the number 2 in this cult, in this community. And I was at the height of disempowerment, of being disempowered in this female empowerment company. So it's no wonder that I eventually get cancer in my feminine power center,
Wow.
my uterus, my cervix, to the point that it actually has to be removed. My womb had to be removed, and then I had to have chemotherapy, and I had to have radiation and all of these things, because ultimately there was a price to pay for all of that toxicity, all of that disempowerment that I had to reckon with and reconcile.
What a powerful story. Is this how you arrive at the soul body paradox?
The soul body paradox
do you go
came-
through showbiz first?
I went through showbiz before I got into female
Before?
empowerment. Yes. I left show business because I discovered female empowerment. Long story short, back when I was in empowerment, back when I was in the entertainment industry before I got into empowerment, it was not the Hollywood of now. It was very much a misogynist, patriarchal, pre-Me Too environment. And I was a woman working in an industry that was, again, very disempowering to me as a woman.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that I was working full-time for a man who was engaging in those behaviors when I had started to take a female empowerment class that changed my life. And I ended up saying, I actually want to go through teacher training in this female empowerment company. I want to be able to pay forward to other women what I have gained from this class. But during the training, I was full-time in female empowerment training and then full-time working for a misogynist. And I was not sleeping, going back and forth between these 2 full-time commitments, like a ping pong ball, between soul sucking and soul filling.
Such incoherence.
Female loving and, female hating. And there was one day that there was an incident, another Me Too incident. I got a call in the morning that my boss had yet again engaged in something that I could not energetically stamp my name to. And I went to my job that day and I said, I'm done. There's no notice. I'm leaving. And I vowed to myself I was leaving the entertainment industry altogether in that moment, and I was going all in on female empowerment. And everybody said, you are crazy. You're going to leave all that power. You're going to leave all that money. You're going to leave flying on private jets and networking with A-list celebrities. You're going to leave all of that for what? What is female empowerment? And I did. And I mean, it's been over a decade and I haven't looked back.
Same Z's, and super excited about it. I didn't get any private jet access, but I remember when I walked away from my last corporate job and then started to launch this with my fakakta little videos talking about empowerment and happiness, soul cycle. Everybody thought I'd lost the plot.
Yeah.
And all I thought was, no, you have.
Correct.
Which brings us to the soul body paradox. What is the method and what can you share with listeners about how you created this and how it works?
Well, it's just so interesting. It just harkens back to this idea of, our mess becoming our message, right? I had gotten so masterful at working with the body that I had, to use your phrase, lost the plot with the soul. And what I realized after my exodus from this cult and in my recovery and in all of my research, in all of my doing the work on myself, in all of the studying that I had to do, all of the knowledge and mastery that I had to gain about what went so wrong in that cult time period to sort of Humpty Dumpty, like put myself back together, I really was able to step into an awareness of the incompleteness, right? We're all seeking fulfillment. And what I realized was what I was lacking was the power of my soul.
Yeah.
And soul meaning source of unconditional love. I was missing that inner agency, that inner authenticity, that self-trust, that self-acknowledgement and awareness and advocacy. It was missing completely. I had given all of my power away. I mean, that is the essence of disempowerment, right?
Absolutely.
And how was I going to reclaim that for myself? And in that journey is when I realized what the soul body paradox was. And the first time that I taught it was in something called 4PC, which is Rich Litvin's community. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I'm not. I will look it up.
But I was asked to present something. And so it hit me like a lightning bolt. Oh my God, I know what this is. And it is that the soul is energy. And what do we learn in kindergarten? Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just changes form, right? So if that's the case, if it's this infinite energy, that means that it is connected to everything all the time. It is non-separate energy, right? It is the collective consciousness, and it knows no bounds. It is not only not separate, but it is certain because it is infinite and not separate. Whereas the body is matter, which makes it finite in space and time, which is the actual opposite of the soul, right? We are limited in time span. We have a day when we're born and a day when we die. And we're also limited in space in terms of my skin is the end of what I can actually take up physically. And in the finite nature of our bodies, in that limited nature of our bodies, we are uncertain, right? We're like animals. We're looking at where's the predator, where's the prey. It's very judgmental. It's black or white. It is, where do I need to go to avoid what I want to avoid? And where do I need to go to get what I want to get, right? So again, we're dealing with these opposites, almost like think of the soul as the angel and the body as the animal. How are they cohabitating with each other? And what you need to realize is that so often the balance is askew.
Yes.
We get so deep into our human nature, right? So deep into our uncertainty, so deep into our survival mechanisms and strategies that we lose the soul's
connection.
Certainty.
Yeah.
We lose that ability to show up to ourselves with trust and with gratitude and with inspiration and with that source of unconditional love that no matter what I've done or not done, I'm worthy of love, right? But we get so into the metrics of being human and we try to measure the immeasurable, and that's just bad math.
I completely agree with you. It's funny. There's such a thought performance obsession, not only culturally, but in the body. So even our thoughts, which can steer in the direction of soul, source of unconditional love, most of our thoughts are directed at taking score, at survival. And so the soul body paradox is really the reversal of this really bad math, isn't it?
It really is. And what it does is it taps the mind and the heart as the bridge that either balances and connects the soul and the body, or it disjoints it. And so it's a holistic process. You have to look at the soul, the body, the mind, and the heart as a network. You can't just work on one computer in a network of computers and expect it all to sync and to continue to work in a lasting, fulfilling fashion. It's just not going to happen. You have to look at the entire thing. And the way that I really phrase it to people is that the soul is the why and the body is the how.
Yeah.
Right? And if you are not using those things to support each other, like the soul carries the mission and the purpose, but the body is here to carry it out.
Yeah.
And if those two things aren't serving each other, the mind will lie to you all day long.
Yeah.
The body and the soul can't lie. So what master are you serving here?
Exactly. I truly love this. And this is something that has come up in episode after episode, but this holistic approach is, I think it's starting to emerge as predominant in the coaching universe.
I pray.
Before it was very
compartmentalized.
Compartmentalized, exactly. Now, for the novice like me, can you talk a little bit about the mechanics of somatic healing, some of your tactics, some of your ways?
Yes. I mean, really, a very basic way to say it is having reverence for the body and the dignity of the body's process. The way that I speak about the body is almost like it's a super suit. like
Totally.
a superhero suit for your soul's mission.
Yeah.
Right? And it's constantly giving you feedback. Your body is constantly talking. 90% of communication is nonverbal. How much attention are you paying to that? Right?
Not
and that's
enough.
not just external conversation and communication. That's an internal conversation and communication. It's like a dashboard that's going off when you're driving a car and you just go, oh, I'll just ignore that. Right? And instead, so often what we do to our bodies is we bully it.
Yeah.
Right? Like our bodies are serving us 24/7. If you think about all the brilliant, magnificent work that's going on, even when you're sleeping, I mean, your body is doing everything for you.
It's incredible.
If you were to make a list of all the things your body is doing for you right now, when you're sick, when you're sleeping, when you're making a baby, if you're a woman, I mean, it is absolutely phenomenal what the body does.
Yes.
And usually the body comes to us and says, you know, I digested for you and I slept for you and I fought infection for you. It's almost like a kid coming to you going like, I washed the dishes and I did the laundry and I did my homework. And you look at it and you go, yeah, still not enough. I'm going to need more from you.
Exactly. And by the way, you're fat. It's such an interesting thing. Yeah. And I love how you talk about it, particularly on Instagram, how open you are about it. And so the two things that I've started to take away already from Soul's Way, from your practice, is reverence for the body, active appreciation, but also just noticing. Just noticing what the body is telling you, listening,
not
to the
ignoring
body.
it. And furthermore, the way that I phrase it is like your body it's your bestie. It's not your bitch. Stop treating it so with dismissal and with the superiority, like the body is just there to serve you and it's never doing a good enough job. It's like, this is the one thing you've got. This is your greatest ally. And so often the way people treat it is just, it's disheartening.
It is. It's also really not working. I love that this brings us to the moment of reclamation, but you're reminding me of what my grandfather, Warren Buffett, always says.
Shout out Warren.
What's up, Grandpa? Grandpa Warren always says, imagine that you're given a car at birth, and it's a magnificent car. It's a car that can drive very, very fast. It's the absolute best model of its time. But there's a catch. It's the only car you will ever drive. How are you going to treat that car? Now, I know this is funny coming from a nonagenarian who drinks Dr. Pepper, according to him, every day. But ultimately, it really is about how we treat ourselves and how we treat our cars that starts to go the distance. And that's what we end up earning, right? It's what we end up living and feeling.
And you end up breaking down like my body did.
Yeah.
You know, my car literally broke down.
Couldn't do it anymore.
And this is coming from somebody who was a master embodiment teacher at the time. I mean, it's not lost on me.
It's an incredible thing, isn't it? And so one of the posts that moved me very recently, I love, of course, all of your episodes, but one of the posts that moved me was the reclamation of the plastic surgery body, of the owning of all aspects of self-betrayal. Can you talk to that a little bit more as well? Because I just feel like more teachers need to go there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I trace that all the way back to I was prepubescent. And I was at a well check, doctor's visit, before I was going to summer camp. And my mom had taken me. And I was in a summer camp bunk with girls that were a year to 2 years older than me. And I remember being at that appointment and being very unnerved because I was prepubescent, and that's just that awkward phase of development. And my doctor happened to be a man who was also a family friend, so would come by around holidays and things. And I just remember the relief when the appointment was over, my clothes were back on, I'm ready to get out of there with a clean bill of health. And my mom grabs the hem of my shirt and yanks it up and grabs a fistful of flesh on my stomach and demands to know from our doctor friend, what is this? Why do I have this extra fat on my stomach? And I just remember in that moment reshaping, literally my body reshaping around the idea of my body is unsafe. My body is unlovable. My body is a threat. And I now need to move forward in life doing everything that I can to be more lovable on the outside than I felt on the inside in that moment. And that led to me having way too many plastic surgeries, way too young, literally trying to carve myself into someone more lovable on the outside than I felt on the inside.
This is so transformational. It's funny, as you were speaking, I kept talking in my head about, because you can sometimes hear your thoughts.
Oh, all the time.
These couples that I know that literally hate each other. And it's not because they hate each other, it's because they are repulsed by their own body. And as a result, they're repulsed by the other. This is a degree of shame. Repulsion is a very unusual degree of shame. And that is the part that needs to be addressed and needs to be healed. When I think about the coaching continuum, this is where I see this work being so essential and falling. It's the reclamation of the body so that you can even do the most foundational basic work in coaching. Without it, you got nothing.
And most people don't even have that level of awareness.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course
they
not.
just they come by it honestly. I mean, that's the culture we live in. That's the paradigm of what we focus on is above the neck, right? It is very much fast food, faster internet, Zoom
Yes.
calls where, just everything from the neck up is what matters. It is not, we don't live in a society that reveres the body.
No, we really don't. And it's also that's one of the reasons I was so interested in having you on the show, because I want to talk about how coaching can also veer towards that, just like talk therapy. In other words, we start veering towards the mind, the intellectual expansion, the expansion of thought. But it really isn't that without the body. If you do not heal the wounds within the body and the trauma that's stored in the tissues, you really aren't getting much of your voice back.
Yeah, I mean, it's like fixing an attic when the foundation is a problem.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here?
I mean, it's a very nice attic, but exactly, all you got is a nice attic. It's a fascinating thing. And do you think that this approach is what allows you to help people to own their voice?
1,000%. Like I say, you can't have one without the other, right? It's like, I always go back to that computer analogy of like, you need the modem and you need the router and you need the monitor and you need all of this to be synced up in order to work efficiently and in order to get that sense of like results that work win for every aspect of this.
And what precedes it? Is it reclamation of the body first and then finding your voice? What's harder to access for people?
Interestingly, it's both, right? So it again, it like all sort of connects. When this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. And sometimes it's really about getting in there and seeing what's more accessible to somebody, right? For some people, the voice is more accessible, and to some people, the body is more accessible. And what's the way in? But ultimately, you're always working with all of them at the same time. But the body is always speaking. And again, it's whether or not you are aware of and in tune with the conversation of your body.
It's so interesting. I know that this might sound a little esoteric, a little hard to grasp for many of our listeners, but if you are tuning in, you are starting to understand what we're talking about. There was a wonderful moment, Angelina Jolie last year, she played Maria Callas.
Yes.
In a wonderful movie called Maria that everybody should watch. And she trained as an opera singer, but she realized through that her voice was actually much higher than she was allowing it to be.
I saw this video.
The video was magnificent.
Yeah.
And then she was basically understanding just through training her voice how much suppression was going on. Mm-hmm. This is a really magnificent thing to start to access.
I mean, well, think about it, right? Think about some of even just the cliche phrases that you hear, right? Children should be
seen and not heard.
Seen and not heard, right?
I have Jewish parents too.
Right? Lower your voice.
Yeah.
Or, good girls don't talk like that. Mm-mm. Or, please try to be more pleasant, right? There are so many things that we hear, right? Like, oh, you're just a chatty Kathy. There are so many things that we hear at such a young age when we are under-resourced to have agency, right? That we shape our bodies around it. I can't tell you how many women I see that hold such an apology in their shoulders, so much shame that they round their back down, right? Our body keeps the score, it really is something that is very visible even to the naked eye. I mean, I was considered one of the great body whisperers at that company that I worked at, because you can very clearly see in someone's body without them saying a word. I'm sure you've seen somebody walk in the room that you love, and without them saying anything, you automatically know what kind of mood they're in.
Absolutely. But I also am starting to watch for nervous system responses.
Yeah.
You can literally watch. I mean, people who are very wound up, the overachievers I talk about, they're kind of always a little bit like this. They're either in fight or in flight.
Yep.
And then there's people that you notice, you start watching for trauma. And this is very hard to see, but if you confront somebody and they automatically start to basically have a problem holding eye contact,
Yep.
and they literally go limp,
Yep.
you're in the
Yep.
vicinity of something very unusual.
Absolutely.
And it's a truly remarkable thing to start to find. For me, it's easier because I'm outside of the body of the other person. For you too. But let's now talk about people who are listening who might actually suspect that they might be in a place that needs to fine-tune their relationship to their voice and their body. How can you develop discernment? What are the first steps anybody can start to take?
To be able to tune into their body's
Yes.
conversation with them? Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, presence is the first thing to work on. Being able to be present, because most people aren't. Honestly, like, step one, can you be present without, to your point, ejecting or feeling like you need some sort of a coping strategy in order to not be present in your body fully? I think that is the utmost place to start.
That's right.
And what will cue you into that, honestly, are your senses more than anything else, because that's sort of like the body's gift for presencing.
Yeah.
The more you slow down and tune into your senses, the more present you will become.
Yeah.
And then from that place is when you can actually start deeply listening, interoception, exteroception, proprioception. I mean, these are phrases that we use in somatics to sort of get the sense of, okay, what's going on internally? What's going on externally? Where am I in space and time?
Yeah.
And really getting a command over your presence and being present.
I love that. I think everybody should take a moment to stop and really start practicing presence, particularly with our times moving as fast as they are.
Again, goes back to, fast food, faster internet. We are conditioned to get ahead. I mean, isn't that like the American motto? It's like, get ahead, get ahead, get ahead. And to what? Because we're missing the moment.
Exactly right. I wrote Gilded just because of that. Because success doesn't really do very much, does it? Other than make itself even more in demand. And that becomes relentless. You have accumulated so much wisdom and from so many different disciplines. I wonder what teachers have had the biggest effect on you? What books are on your nightstand on a semi-permanent basis?
Well, I will say that like my number one of all time is Dr. John DeMartini. I'm licensed in the DeMartini method. He actually was on my podcast, season 1, and I basically didn't talk the entire episode.
Going to
because
listen to that one. I can't believe I missed it.
Absorb.
Wow.
It was such an honor to have him on. But I am such a devout student of his method. And the thing that I actually appreciate the most about his method, which by the way, he's a polymath. You'll never meet anybody that brilliant in your life. His method is, undisputed. I mean, not that it's undisputed. A lot of people try to dispute it, but they can't debunk it over like 50 years now.
Wow.
But the thing that I love the most about him is that he really works on neutralizing imbalanced charges, right? So the things that we go, this really upsets me, or this is really unfair, or, I'm really devastated by something. What he's able to do through the mathematics of the mind and body is he's actually able to help you balance what is imbalanced in your thoughts that's even creating those negative perceptions or charges. But what's so great is he works so much with like how we put people on pedestals and how we put people in pits. And we do a lot of compare and despair. And that's where we measure ourselves against. And he makes you do the method on him, because so many of us do put him up on a pedestal. And he makes sure that we're not doing that. And that's the thing that I actually probably appreciate the most about him.
Yes, that's the thing I appreciate the most about all teachers.
Yeah.
It's funny. You made me think about Alan Cohen, who wrote "Why Your Life Sucks and What You Can Do About It." And he always says, whenever you make something externally more powerful than yourself, you have lost all grip.
And
of
he
your
says
own
the
power.
exact same thing.
Exactly.
And I say the exact same thing, and you say the exact same thing. But I feel like those are the type of, I'm going to use this in air quotes because blah, 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 but like thought leaders. I think the thought leaders that we need nowadays are the ones who put the expertise back in the hands of the person whose life it is.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, being the most powerful recurring theme of this series. Real coaching masters don't want to be on a pedestal.
No.
We just want to be human enough for you to see your own humanity. That's the entire point of being a teacher, which is why it always baffles me that so many people come to this work, have a calling to this work, and then start to experience imposter syndrome. It's only because what they're after is accolades and fame. It's not because of service, isn't it?
Yes, 100% right. And, I think for me, that lesson came through crystal clear in that cultish environment.
Sure.
Of like...
Because they demand that you only respect the leader and you never question the leader.
That's right. And you put all your eggs in a toxic basket, and it doesn't serve anyone in the end.
I'd like everybody to beware whenever you are with the vicinity of somebody who's absolutely obsessed with themselves and cannot be questioned. You're in a cult environment.
Yes, somebody who does not invite dissent is somebody to be wary of.
Somebody to be very afraid of. I love that you shared that, and thank you for sharing everything so openly. What's your mission now, Alexis? What are you really excited about?
Ooh. I am excited about... I'm writing a book.
You're coming back for the book.
We're coming back for the book. I'm in the middle of writing a book, and I feel really excited about that. It's very daunting.
Can you tell us what it's called? Oh, my God.
It's called U-Turn, Y-O-U.
Ooh, I love it. U-Turn.
Yes.
We've talked about this. I'm super excited about it.
Me too.
It's an incredible title.
Yes. I mean, this is laborious, to say the least.
Yes.
I mean, it's like ripping your soul out of your body and putting it on a piece of paper.
It's absolutely
but,
terrible.
It's worth it, and I'm excited about the process. And Soul Sway, I'm super, super excited about Soul Sway finding its way in the world.
I love it. How can people find the work and connect to you?
Yeah. Well, alexisartin.com is always a way to reach me, and soulswaypractice.com is a way to experience that. And I'm very active on the gram, on the Instagrams.
Yes. We're very cool, hip people.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of ways in this modern world to connect, which is a blessing and a curse, I guess. But yeah.
It's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
You seem to have come a very long way, baby. Do you remember that Virginia Slims ad?
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Well, I'm really happy for you. I'm really, really glad we had this conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your embodiment practice and your life story with us.
Thank you for having me. I wouldn't be anywhere else.
I'm delighted to have you here in Austin. May your life continue to be blessed with ease. Thank you, listeners. I really hope that you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. The icky sticky part is to always ask you to subscribe and review our podcast so that we can continue to serve you the best content and certainly the most masterful teachers on the planet as part of this series. I hope you'll come along for the next one. See you next time.